Today I want to debunk one of the biggest myths of African history. That's that Ethiopia is a symbol of anti-colonial resistance. Now, to be clear, there is a tiny bit of truth to this myth, and the truth is that during the scramble of Africa in the late 1800s, one of the few areas of Africa that was able to avoid being colonized by the Europeans was Ethiopia. Ethiopian forces successfully pushed back the Italians, the French, and the British. And during a time period where Africa was generally being humiliated, a lot of people, even today, look at this Ethiopian resistance as a symbol of anti-colonialism. But the problem with this myth is it misses the fact that Ethiopia itself in the late 1800s started to mimic the Europeans in the sense that it was starting to colonize other Africans. Under Emperor Memlik, the Ethiopian Empire expanded to, for instance, take areas that were inhabited by the Oromo people. Some people call this actually the Oromo genocide, given the brutality. And then by 1897, Memlik is even entering areas that are inhabited by Somali clans. And this was not a process that was in the slightest way peaceful. It's not like Emperor Memlik, for instance, was trying to bring these groups together to resist the Europeans. Emperor Memlik was an African leader conquering other Africans. He would burn villages to the ground, civilians were indiscriminately attacked, and Europeans themselves were happy to provide Memlik with the guns to do this. So he was not in any sense, or in that way, resisting the Europeans. Now, it'd be not perfectly fine, but it'd be one thing if this was just an archaic part of history. But the problem is Ethiopia maintains this system to this day, with many areas of the country mirroring or reflecting the history of colonialism. So for instance, focusing on the areas that the Somalis live in, this is called the Somali region of Ethiopia, and it's also sometimes called the Ogaden region. This region is one of the poorest regions of Ethiopia, and as many of you viewers might know, it was also the site of, for instance, the Ogaden War, as well as the Ogaden resistance against Ethiopian forces. Now, how is Ethiopia responded? Has it respected people's wishes to determine their future? No, it's always responded with brutal crackdowns, the massacre of civilians, torture, arbitrary detention, mass rape. This is all the things Ethiopia has done. So to be clear, Ethiopia is not a symbol of anti-colonial resistance. Unfortunately, it's actually an example of Africans killing and colonizing other Africans. And people need to be clear on that if we want true anti-colonialism. Thank you.